truth be told, this episode wasn't as bad as I remembered, but that doesn't mean it's not a flaming hot turd. Still, I'm hoping they free Enterprise of this crappy story. Maybe then my nightmares will be a bit less gory. So, aboard the uneventful Horizon, there's a hatchery, and as it turned out, a whole lot more of Ryder Hackery. The mutiny on... Made myself laugh.
I'm glad you enjoyed that.
The mutiny on board was the best part, but if only compared to a giant wet fart. I'm Josh.
I'm Justin.
And this is From There to Here. Well,
how many times in our little opening bit have we referred to the episode as a wet fart?
Is that not the not the first time?
No, that is not the first time.
Oh, I thought I was being clever.
No.
Okay. So this is episode 17 of season 3. It's called Hatchery, in case you forgot. Yeah, Horizon. Hatchery. Hackery. And according to the IMDb, this is what it's about. It's a very good synopsis. One of the best I've ever seen. Captain Archer orders the crew of Enterprise to save a Xindi-Insectoid hatchery. And then stuff happens.
That's about as eventful as the teaser to the episode itself.
I know. And I'm guessing this is... Oh boy. I think they were probably more generous with this one than some of other ones like Rogue Planet, or when I say they, I mean the users on the internet. So probably 6.7.
Yeah, I'm going to say 6.9.
6.6.
All right.
Yep, it's bad. Not that bad as I mentioned in the opening poem. It's not that bad. What do you have? What do you have? What came from the wiki?
Well, for the production information, they shot it. They edited it.
Did they?
There was special effects by Herman Zimmerman and Michael Westmore with physical effects. That's about all there is for that, with the exception of Michelle Erica Green of Trek Nation enjoyed the episode and said it had thrilling moments, but was disappointed that it did not do anything to further the Xindi plot arc. Quote, no. It's good, but it's not quite striving for greatness.
Could you apply that to a lot of other episodes too?
Yes. I think
it's a blanket statement.
Erica Michelle Green could just copy paste her comments on this episode and put it towards everything.
Yeah. I'm sure the editors of her magazine probably saw that and said, Are you just copying and pasting this, from episode to episode? No, not at all. I'm actually watching each one.
And that's where she said what Guy Fleegman did on Galaxy Quest. She turned to them and said, "Did you guys even watch the show?" In other words, it's accurate.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this episode truly was not as bad as I remembered.
Yeah. I know we ended last week's episode dreading this, but I agree with you. It wasn't as bad as... Well, frankly, I didn't remember it for shit.
I remembered Archer obsessing over this hatchery on the planet.
I'm amazed that you remembered that,
because it was such a stinker. That's why it stuck out of my brain. But I think rewatching it reminded me why I didn't like it in the first place, and that's because it seemed to be another one of those large departures from the main storyline. It just seemed like they took an off ramp. And I thought, what does this have to do with anything? But they did that with Doctor's Orders too. But Doctor's Orders I didn't mind. But this one, it was just bad. It just wasn't interesting. Like him, by him I mean the captain acting obsessively over this hatchery because he was sprayed in the face. Like okay, that's just silly. But I did enjoy the scenes of the crew learning that they would have to go against the captain and taking those steps. That was interesting. That was some good drama. Wasn't great, but it was pretty good. How about you?
Well, I agree with you on all the points. The most interesting element of, well, I mean, it was the show was the the coup that was developing, and that's where the drama was.
Right.
And I know once you and I stopped making fun of the episode and actually started watching it.
Yeah, we did. A little bit.
I know I made the comment that I feel, and this is my comment on the episode, and this would be my writer's room on the episode, which is, I think the episode would have been stronger and better served if Archer's motivations were genuine, if they were not connected to being squirted in the face by alien goo, but rather that he made the conscious choice to try and save these alien babies in the hope that it would foster a good relationship between the humans and the Xindi. And I have no problem with the crew not liking the idea. And it's a shame, because I think there was some real good drama that could be had here, because the crew they were dealing with kind of two elements. The crew that was choosing to essentially mutiny against the captain. Mm-hmm. They were conflicted. They didn't want to have to do it. He's their captain and they love him, but they don't think he's acting correctly. So they're both trying to prove his mental incompetence mm-hmm. and actually save the mission. Like they're kind of doing two things. Mm-hmm. Whereas Archer is single focused. He doesn't have any idea that he's under the influence. He thinks he is genuinely doing this to save the mission. So I think if you took that element away from the rest of the crew, not having it be where he's taken over, blah, 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 he's mentally incompetent, just have a different opinion, like an opinion so different that they come to this thing. And I understand why they did this. The writers, they did this so that you could get all of these characters out of this situation without any hard feelings. Mm-hmm. You know, you could have the cool drama, but the problem is the drama is impacted by, we know that Archer's not acting right. So the drama is affected. The emotion that they're feeling is real, but we, the audience, there's only so far we can get invested because mm-hmm. we know Archer is not right. It's kind of similar to what's that TNG episode? It's the season 1 where Picard gets.
Oh yeah.
What's that one?
Is that Lonely Among Us?
Lonely Among Us,
right.
Where he gets taken over by that thing that jumps around from crew members, mm-hmm. and the Enterprise D crew has a very similar thing, only predicament, but to less dramatic effect, where they're trying to decide, do we oust him as the captain?
Right.
But this is much more severe because the stakes are so high, the stakes mm-hmm. being Earth. And I think it would have been very interesting to have at this point where Archer, who we barely recognize as a character anymore, as the character he used to be, mm-hmm. if he, because we haven't enjoyed him this season. He's not the Archer that we know. Yes, he's on a mission, blah, 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 but he's just kind of a dick. And mm-hmm. we don't like him. So it would have been very interesting to see him take this hard left and realize there's a chance to do something here. But he has been so convincing to his crew, rightfully so, that the mission comes before all else. So that everyone else would be saying, I don't think this is a good idea. Like, we see where you're going. Cool idea. And what a great moral dilemma. So don't make the drama of the episode be that they're trying to out him as the captain per se, as much as they are so against what he's suggesting that they are willing to temporarily completely disregard him at the risk of the chain of command of the ship. And like, there's real danger in doing this, because can they even continue as the same crew after you make such a coup, for lack of a better word? I think that would, and obviously you would have to end the episode slightly differently because you do have to have them continue as a crew. But I think there was a lot of potential in that if it was a conscious choice on his part. What do you think?
Well, I see your point. I mean, in this case, you get to hit the reset button.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the drama would have worked as well. Not saying it worked very well here. But when the crew is, in this case, when the crew is going against his decisions, when they see that he's clearly making bad decisions, that and he's out of his mind. They can see that. It's obvious to us, but they are prevented from acting out as any normal person would because of the position they're in, because of the chain of command.
Right.
That's where the drama kind of comes in, is that we know what they want to say. They know what they want to say. But in a case where Archer is not being influenced by this alien goo, and it's just an odd, what seems to be an irrational choice, but he tries to justify it the way you're proposing. He goes against the grain. I don't think the drama would have been as intense if he's actually clear-minded and he's explaining his choice. Maybe if the stakes were a bit more laid out, if there was some kind of time constraint, like a ticking clock in your scenario, like there was a ticking clock and they can only go one of two directions,
Right,
before they get to wherever, whatever. They have to get somewhere in this amount of time. You can go to path A or path B. And path A seems like the more logical choice, which is where the crew thinks they should go. But Archer says, no, we should take the more risky path B. Maybe. But why would he not play it safe in this case, in your scenario?
play it safe being just leave the babies and go.
Yeah.
Why would he not do that?
Mm-hmm.
He would not do it because just like he's for two reasons. He gives that speech to was it to Trip or to Paul?
Some of the episode is already blanked out in my mind.
I think it's
Not
Trip,
sure. Okay.
where he talks about one of his ancestors who was in the eugenics wars in
I think that was to Trip.
in the far future of 1996, if I recall.
Past.
Well, yeah, I guess.
they're
I'm
past.
thinking of like TOS where they refer to,
Sure.
But yes, the past, the eugenics wars that were so big that no one knows about it. But anyway, he said that there was his side, and I think, obviously the implication is, the people that are on the augments sides,
Mm-hmm.
and they were going to shoot at each other, but if they did that, they were going to end up, or potentially end up, hitting a school full of kids. So one of the commanders, like his ancestor, reached out to the other commander and said, "Can we agree to not fire and let people go in and remove these children?" And he said to Trip, even in those circumstances, there are rules. You can't, they're children. You cannot do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's equating that to this situation. So there's that. That's his logic. And then the secondary logic is, and he does state this, he says, if we do this, if we stick our necks out, risk ourselves to, with open hands here, say we found your kids and we saved them here. We're not we could have killed them and ran, but we didn't. Here they are. He's hoping that would generate goodwill amongst the Xindi and make them at least sit down and talk. It's a pickle, because morally, I don't think anyone would argue that would perhaps be the good thing, but the stakes are so high that you could definitely argue, well, maybe we gotta let these ones go, for Earth as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do see what you're saying, and I don't disagree that just as the way that I propose it is not, that maybe there is something missing, because the crew, with the story as it is, that they know Archer's not right. They just they can't prove it, just like in that TNG episode, and it's a pickle. But the problem is Archer made good points. Maybe we could have split the difference. What do you think? Do you think we could have, and I actually kind of wondered if that's how the episode was going to end, have him, have his brain fixed. Mm-hmm. And then they go, oh, well, thank God, Captain, because, we were about to send this message. Let's leave these kids and get out of here. If he went, no, I think we should still do it anyway. And then of sound mind and body, he thinks, no, maybe this is a good idea. I don't know. I just hate the whole goo take over the brain.
No, it was. it is terrible. Yeah, it's not a good piece of writing right there.
There's a certain drama that's robbed.
I mean, wasn't there something better he could have obsessed over? I mean,
Well,
it was.
I know the episode is coming. E2? No, I'm sorry. Damages.
Is it is it E squared?
Oh yeah, E squared. No, but
Okay.
I misspoke.
Damages?
Though. I'm talking about
Okay.
Damages. That's the one where Archer intentionally strands another ship so he can take something from their ship that they need.
Yeah.
He had to sacrifice his morality.
Yeah.
And that was a good
Mhm.
idea.
Right.
I think they could have played with that here, where maybe he gets a sample of it, and maybe that would have been a good because the episode's got to be coming.
Mhm.
What if this would have been a good stepping stone for that, where he actually tried to do the right thing and it didn't work out or something? You know, like maybe they did send a signal and they somehow have to book it and get out of there because it didn't work. You know, but then faced with the situation and Damages, he realizes, nah, maybe we do have to just do the hard thing. You know, maybe I don't know. I'm trying to find a way to connect it to the overall story of the season and to make Archer's motivations a little more consistent.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yes, I mean, you make a good point. I mean, with the dilemma he could be faced with, let's say if he wasn't sprayed with goo, like let's just say,
well, I've got an ending. Go ahead.
Okay, let's just say yes. It all comes down to a moral choice, like because it's either save these alien babies or let them die, right? And you know, these alien insectoids or these baby insectoids, they haven't committed any crimes.
Right.
You know, they're innocent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can see the dilemma there, but they definitely didn't go about making that seem like the interesting part of the episode, like that being the dilemma, that moral dilemma.
Yeah.
It was always about him trying to convince the crew, like, no, this will put us in. This will be like a good gesture of goodwill. But it wasn't like that. I mean, they get into that during the Enterprise, the TNG episode, I, Borg, right?
Mm.
You know, Picard was all gung-ho with, let's just send him back. And then he talked to him. He's like, oh, we can't send him back now.
Yeah, yeah.
That wouldn't be right once you get to know him. So maybe if they were able to, for lack of a better word, incorrect word, humanize these insectoids, if they could talk or something like that. But when they're just little worms, you're like, okay, well, you can't get any emotion out of that.
Right.
I mean, maybe you're supposed to, but it's not as effective. Yeah. Did that actually help? Or
well,
I got lost in my own thought.
No,
there.
I mean, I see what you're saying in the sense that, like with I, Borg, you connect with Hugh. You know, so you immediately feel like, well, he's like a child. You can't say, you know, and he's talking and he's made friends. In this, like they're just CG crawly creatures that haven't hurt anybody.
Well, you made a reference to Starship Troopers while we were watching this, and it's when we saw a dead insectoid on the ground.
Yeah,
and you said, doesn't look like so much when you scrape him off your boot. And I was like, yeah, you're dehumanizing him. That's what Troopers was all about there in that moment.
Yeah, of course.
And that's what that was. They were dehumanized.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe if there was something they could latch onto that would make them empathize with these creatures, but they didn't really try that. I mean, when they were killing those bugs in Troopers, they did not.
The only good bug
is a dead bug. They did not care about their feelings. No. I mean, think about the military scientist moment with
Doogie,
you know, where he's like, well, your average bug warrior isn't too smart, but if you blow off a limb, it's still 80% combat effective. And the bug is sitting there back there just, please kill me, please kill me. It's like, okay, now aim for the brainstem, put it down for good, you know, then. But he's doing it so coldly, right?
Yeah.
And obviously there was a disconnect there. And that's a theme throughout the whole movie.
Oh, yeah.
But maybe they could have touched upon it there too, in this Enterprise episode.
Yeah. I think that's an element that they could have added to the episode if they took away the Archer brain goo thing, to heighten the drama, in the sense that it's not just about the action A or action B, but who have they become, and what are the inevitable thing that will come in a with a mission like this, where the stakes are so high. How far are you willing to go before you've actually sacrificed what you were in the first place?
Well, was it made completely clear? And I asked that because I was kind of drifting off into some of this episode. Was it actually said that if they left the hatchery there, they would die?
I believe that was the implication, because that there was no Xindi within communication range, but they knew that if they sent a signal, that the Xindi would be on them really, really fast. So that they could not draw Xindi to that location. But I have an out.
Oh yeah, your ending, right?
So what about this? So what if the brain goo thing happens so that we get the character reset so they can all mutiny against him and it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
But Archer does come out going, well, maybe there is something to this, right? So much so that he says, guys, like, how can we do this? How can we save them and not entirely endanger ourselves at the same time? Because he does recognize what a risk it is. So what if they left a shuttle pod down there with, let's say Major Hayes volunteered, right?
Yeah.
And said, I'll offer to stay behind and I'll send the signal once you guys are out of scanning range, and I'll send the signal. With Hoshi could pre-record things saying, "Doop dip da, we have your babies,"
Yes.
And then let's say Enterprise shoots away, hides behind a moon, just peeks out so they can see, and they're like, all right, let's see what happens, And Archer was going to do it, but Hayes says, obviously you can't. You're the captain, so he does it. And then from a distance, they watch as the signal is sent. A Xindi ship or two show up. They can tell that the message is sent, and then in short order, they completely blow it up and kill him. Because they don't trust him. They think it's a lie. They think it's whatever. And they actually destroy the ship, including their babies, thinking it's probably a setup, and kill Hayes, blow up everything. And then Archer realizes, crap, like, maybe we're doomed. Like, we have to kill.
Yeah.
We have to be as evil as they are.
Good gestures won't work.
Right. Leading to damages where he's willing to strand another group of people. Maybe, sweet Jesus, give us some darkness, they keep getting out of stuff.
Yeah, I thought maybe for a moment when you were talking about that, what if this wasn't just a one-off? What if there was a payoff for it somewhere in the future where, let's say they did save the hatchery and none of the crew agreed with Archer about that. And then later they run into insectoids that maybe let them off the hook for something because of that deed. Maybe it does pay off. Like, we know what you did.
But that's too neat. What you're describing.
I'm not saying is yesterday's Enterprise. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. But I thought maybe if they wanted to pay it off, they could pay it off that way.
Well, sure they could, but that'd be too neat and pretty. This is war.
It's war, Peacock. I know. I'm just trying to save the episode here.
I know.
A little bit.
What if they just saved, what if they left the hatchery, but they took one and they raised it and they named it Norman?
Oh.
and an insectoid is walking around the ship.
I thought you were going to say, what if he grows up to be the next Adolf Hitler? Oh, Con Sing. That's where you're going to go.
No, I was going City Slickers.
Oh, yeah.
Norman.
Yeah.
She was sick. She was dying.
She was suffering.
So
is Phil, but we don't shoot him. Yeah. Well, at least we are making connections with TNG. Some, was there another episode we connected this to? Was it?
Well, no. Iborg.
That was the other one.
But I think in the case of Enterprise, this is an example where going differently is appropriate because Archer and crew, they don't have, there are no Picard speeches to draw from. And they are truly in to paraphrase Starship Troopers, this is a war for the species. I mean, the stakes were never as high. Even in TNG with the Borg threat,
Right.
there was humans living other places. Humans would live on. It's like Guinan said, you'll endure. But this is a game ender. You know, like the Xindi are coming to commit genocide. And that's a big deal. You know, I mean, I've said it before. They really need to raise the stakes here. I mean, they keep avoiding the dangers of what's going on. And
well, not in the episode that's coming up in Damage or Damages.
Yeah, but even then, I feel like I still feel like that was like Enterprise Light. Like it could have been much darker than it was. You know, and now maybe if that was a payoff to something like this, it would have had more meat. But if memory serves, it's a bit of too little, too late. You know, and I'm like, all right, they should have done this ages ago, you know, in the season. And if I'm not mistaken, the captain of that ship is Damar.
He is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Casey Biggs.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, the problem with, you know, this kind of mutiny, one of the things, it's just like in Lonely Among Us.
Yeah.
Where they're considering mutinying.
Mutinying.
Am I saying that right?
I don't know.
Committing mutiny, whatever, against their captain, but just like in Allegiance, and they'll have a discussion about it. But it's when the captain is making such obvious bad choices, and you're like, okay, do we really need to have to discuss this for that long? It's okay. Come on, just like in this situation.
Okay, I see where you're going.
Okay, what?
But what about? Think about the Voyager episode. I want to say it's first season, maybe second. The one with the engineer from the Hunt for Red October, with they go to a pleasure planet.
Oh, right.
That has a technology that could get them home.
Yeah, and
they just want like memories and stuff. They don't even want like weapons or anything. They just something so inconsequential.
Oh, doesn't Tuvok?
Yes.
Do it.
Tuvok betrays the captain and delivers this, and it turns out the tech, and he does get the tech, but it's incompatible.
Yeah.
And he said, I made the decision that you couldn't morally, because so I did that for you.
That was the logical thing to do.
And she's like, no, you were wrong. And that was a betrayal. And it's going to take a while to get over that. Like, I like that.
That was good.
That was interesting. You know, so like it must be written properly. It takes much finesse to do it, but you can have a crew that are like family, that are loyal and all that. You can have them disagree on something so intently that maybe someone makes a decision that is hurtful in the moment, but rational, intelligent adults can find a way to go, I don't stand by what you did, but I understand why you did it. And I don't know if I'll forgive you, but I'll forget about it. You know, I'll move on. You know, I still trust you. But even in that episode, she was like, it's going to take a while to get this back.
Yeah, there was no reset there.
No, there wasn't.
No.
Well, there was by the next episode.
Well, sure.
But, you know, but no official reset.
No.
And it leaves you on kind of a downer.
Yeah, like nothing squirt him in the face.
No. And she wasn't like, well, I still love you anyway. She's like, seriously, you need to walk away from me right now. You know, and I like that. That's drama. That's interesting. And it's not out of a place of spite or like, what's the admiral's name in Homefront and Paradise Lost?
Don't remember.
Admiral what's his nuts?
Sure.
Where he's kind of crossed the line into villainy with what he's willing to
Admiral
do.
Red Squad. Oh.
Yeah, his intentions are good.
Yes,
but he's become his moral compass has become so skewed that he's willing to actually destroy us to save us.
Well, you know how many villains have said, you know, their intentions are good.
Right. But he became bad.
Yeah.
Whereas the crew in this potential scenario would be stopping the captain from what they think is just a horribly misjudged choice. You know, to me, that's interesting. And the repercussions of that would be interesting if they followed through, you know.
If they did, but they don't. No, they certainly don't.
It's like the whole, I forget was it the end of season 1 or season 2 no, it was the end of season 1 where you and I spitballed this whole alternate season finale for season 1.
Our initial proposal was that it takes place on Earth.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Enterprise gets like half destroyed and they have to steal it, a la Star Trek 3.
Oh, no.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
No. I think you're talking about the end of season 2.
Was it 2?
Yeah, because they were going into the Xindi.
Right.
They had to commit mutiny to go into the Expanse. That was our idea.
Well, something.
To make the stakes really high.
It was season 1.
No, it was going into the Xindi arc.
Okay.
I think that's what we wanted
Well, still
to do.
though, you know, we did something that would have lasting effects.
Right.
And, you know, yeah. I'm actually reminded of Top Gun Maverick, which I was just rewatching recently. And there's a scene where the jerk admiral basically fires Tom Cruise and he says, "You're off the mission. You know, I'm in charge now." And then like the next morning during a briefing, Maverick steals a plane and does the training mission and shows that it can be done.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, the bad admiral guy's yelling at him and he goes, well, not even really yelling. He's like, "This is the situation you put me in, Maverick. You have destroyed a multi-million-dollar piece of tech, but you did it proving that this mission can be done." So he's like, "You've put me in a position where I should fire you, but at the same time, you apparently are the only one that can do the job. So I don't like this, but I'm going to put you back in charge because that's where you clearly need to be." And it's not even a grudging respect. It's well, you have to do it. And then at the end, you know, they do the whole movie. Maverick salutes him. And the admiral does not salute him. He just gives him a head nod because he really still does not like this guy.
I think you're looking too deep into Top Gun Maverick there.
I knew you were going to say something. But the point I'm making, though, is that here are two people that are on the same side.
Mm-hmm.
They just have a completely different point of view.
Yeah.
And they found a way to make something happen. And they're not going to be buddies afterwards.
So apply this to Hatchery to bring it back.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's what
I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just making the point that those lasting repercussions could be interesting, you know?
Yeah. I mean, considering this is supposed to be a season-long arc, you think they would want that.
You would think.
Yeah, they've been kind of avoiding it. So
they just have Archer being grumpy pants all the time, but nothing ever happens, you know? So yeah.
I mean, why do that? You can have a continuing thread like movie night. I mean, I wanted a movie tonight.
No one's gonna get
that was a bad reference.
In fact, I would. Does anyone listening get that reference?
I doubt.
I wanted to watch a movie tonight.
No.
I doubt if you do, don't say anything.
So an obscure movie from
don't even give it away. See if anyone can tell.
Okay. Well, that's all I think I pretty much had to say about Hatchery. The only saving grace is that it was not as big a clunker as I remember it being. That's pretty much it. What would you grade it? Let's do that before we forget about it.
I would give it a B-.
I was kind of tilting on that. I'm going to say C+ because I don't think I'll ever go back to this episode again.
Okay.
It's fairly forgettable. It only gets that plus just because there were some interesting moments into it.
Right.
In it. Other than that, it's mostly average, if not less than in some parts. So, but it all equals out. I mean, it all balances out to about a C+, I would say.
Fair.
So as for people writing in, we did hear from a few people this week. So Matt wrote back to us about some episodes past. He didn't write to us about Hatchery, but he wrote about Harbinger and Doctor's Orders.
All right.
So he writes, completely agree that the friction between Reed and Hayes is all in Reed's head.
It really is.
Hayes didn't seem to start getting irritated back until after Reed was such a baby about the training schedule. Reed's so insecure that he sees Hayes as competition instead of a valuable resource. You agree with that?
I agree completely.
Yeah. Insecure. I think I argued that point though. I don't think
Maybe not insecure, but he's threatened.
Yes.
When there is no threat, which I guess is a form of
insecurity,
but not.
I think I said he's territorial, not insecure. That was my feeling.
Maybe though that word is not inaccurate. I mean, they talk about his past and how his family was all this and he went a different way. So there is a certain insecurity. He feels challenged, and this is kind of like all he's got, and he's really, really trying to prove himself. And here's someone who's potentially in a position to show him up.
Okay, maybe. I'm not sold that.
Okay, fair.
So Matthew continues, really enjoyed Doctor's Orders. Any episode featuring Phlox is tops in my book. The twist genuinely surprised me. Lots of good tension and suspense. Didn't need to see Phlox's feet, though. Yeah, I mean, we agree. We love seeing Billingsley do his thing.
Yeah.
Billingsley and Blaylock. Remember, I couldn't say that before. They were both funny. Some funny bits. Overall enjoyable, although completely kind of throwaway episode. You don't really need it in the Xindi arc, but I enjoyed it a lot. So I think I probably gave it. Did we grade that episode or not? I can't remember. It was probably a B+ or an A-. I mean,
probably.
I like that one. So we heard from Nick, who we haven't heard from a while. He writes, "Hi, gents. Been a while since my last email in which I called out an episode as being the stupidest ever. I am a couple of weeks ahead of you now on my rewatch. I recall watching this show on DVD about 20 years ago through a DVD rental service. Netflix?
Probably.
I recall liking it. I am sure I have defended it in the past from those that want to bag it. I am now thinking they are right. I am sure season 4 is better. Archer is so unlikable this year. Mayweather and Hoshi have nothing to do or say. Reed is a dick. T'Pol is all over the place and constipated. No, he didn't say that. The only likable ones are the Doctor, when he is in it, that's in parentheses, and Trip, who is the only consistent one. Hope it improves next year. Cheers, and thanks for the pod. Nick from Oz."
I gotta say, he's pretty right.
Yeah, he probably kind of hit the nail on the head there. Yeah. Some good insights there. I like Nick. I did watch it on DVD initially about 20 years ago because I didn't watch it when it was initially airing. That's for sure.
Right.
I watched it borrowing your box sets. Those you probably still have those gray box sets, right? Where it was it's
no, I
separated
know.
from,
I know what they
separates from bottom to top.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, I think I have them in storage. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched those.
I bought the Blu-ray sets that I don't watch, but I have them.
Oh, you have the Blu-rays?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's right about Archer being unlikable. Inconsistent. Maybe.
Inconsistent for sure.
Mayweather and Hoshi really do have not much to say. Not really. Reed, I don't know. I never thought Reed was a dick. I kind of like Reed.
He's. Oh, I like Reed. I just think the only time he's a dick is in
Harbinger.
When he's in conflict with Hayes.
Oh,
that's
where
that
was really only that one episode. Though.
They pepper that, so it's.
Well, that was our criticism. They didn't really pepper that.
Certainly not because
enough.
It was all in his head. That's the problem.
Well, it didn't seem they even built that up enough by the time it came around.
Well, agreed.
I mean, it was just about 14 episodes where we didn't see Hayes that much, and all of a sudden they're like training together, and they're like, "Oh, I have a problem with you. I don't want to work out on Tuesdays. I want to work out on Wednesdays.
Yeah,
in the evening," as he liked to say it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for writing in. Hope to hear from others soon. Justin and I were talking about this. It's probably we're hoping it's the lack of interest in season 3 that people might have, which is why we're not hearing from people as much. And I understand that season 3 is not very exciting, but we're hoping that when season 4 comes in, maybe.
I certainly hope so. I realize
it's been a slog. This season has been a slog.
And I know we had a bit of a hiatus there,
right?
And
well, this is what is this, episode 17? Is that what we said? 17. So I mean, we've had 4 months. We've been in this season for 4 months. I mean, and it feels like it.
Oh,
it's like
gosh,
it just seems like it's never going to end.
Yeah.
I didn't think it would take that long. When you do one episode a week, I mean, it does take that long.
Yeah. Well, we took a break, which we shouldn't.
Well, we didn't take a break before we started season 3. We came back and
Then we started
season 3.
Well, then we did a break.
We did a break between pretty much 2 and 3. That was our hiatus.
Oh, okay.
I think we did the first episode of season 3, and then we...
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, I feel like we started and then...
Yeah, we did, because we initially couldn't remember where we left off, because it was so uninteresting. Anyway, going into the show's history, I don't think anybody cares.
But I think we're about to take the big swing into the last...
Well, yeah, they're going to get into the third act of this arc here, so maybe
Yeah.
things will finally start to pick up and get interesting. I mean, you mentioned the episode with Casey Biggs. And
Damages. Azadi Prime is coming, which I know is a fan favorite.
These are some good ones coming up. So, yeah. And the way it transitions from season 3 to 4 is time travel.
It
right?
was real quick.
Yeah.
They had to find a way real quick to button it up so they could move on.
Let's get off of this storyline quickly, please. That's all said and done. Yeah. Was there anything else you'd like to... Oh, I didn't ask you what's coming up next. Did you confirm that?
No, I didn't.
You want me to look?
Yeah, you might be able to get there quick.
Next up is Azadi Prime.
Okay. Which I think is like one of those top rated type episodes.
That one? Okay. I don't remember what that is.
That's all I remember about that one is that's the one where Archer, Daniel shows up and he takes Archer to the future and he sees the Enterprise J.
Oh, that's what that is?
Like from the inside. Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Well, that's something to look forward to. So I was not looking forward to Hatchery. That's for sure.
I will say though, it was not, I didn't remember anything about Hatchery. I was totally going off of your lack of enthusiasm for it.
Yeah.
And much like you, I was at least surprised that I was interested in the episode because of the coup drama.
I think because we both set our standards really low for this one. Maybe we were surprised by any least bit of entertainment there wasn't it.
Well, the
concept alone isn't horrible. I think that's what you're saying.
Well, the alien goo, no, we don't like. But I did enjoy every time the crew was trying to figure out what to do and the drama of that. That I enjoyed. I did.
Yeah. No, that was. I did enjoy that part too. I mean, I wasn't falling asleep during that part.
No, I was
zoning out. That's true. I would like to recommend a movie to the few people that listen to this show. Go onto YouTube. You can watch it for free. It's called Rooftops. It's on YouTube for free, right?
You're going to do this to people?
Is it on YouTube?
Yeah,
it is on YouTube. Justin and I watched this the other day. It's one of the most bizarre movies. I keep saying the word bizarre. I don't know how to explain this movie.
I would if anyone out there is a fan of the movie Iron Eagle.
It has Jason Gedrick.
This has Jason Gedrick, who chose to do this movie instead of Iron Eagle 2.
Right. And that's why we initially watched it in the first place.
Because we were like, we got to see this.
We saw some info that said that he chose this movie over that. And we're like, what is this?
And we saw clips, which was hilarious.
Yes.
And the movie did not disappoint. It was every bit the disappointment that we expected it to be.
Nonsensical.
It was nonsensical.
And there was like no story really. And the dancing in there was some
odd.
Type of kung fu
dancing.
Something. It was weird.
Yeah.
Very, very weird.
It was. It's worth watching just to go, what's happening? What's the plot?
Yeah. And there's actors you'll recognize from other things, but you won't know exactly what. So you're like, I know that face.
There's a lot of people in it. But yeah, it's wow.
Oh, who was it directed by?
Directed by Robert Wise.
Robert Wise, director of Star Trek: The Motion Picture,
Day the Earth Stood Still,
West Side Story, or is that
West Side Story and The Sound of Music? I mean, yeah. Wow.
How did it get made?
Don't know.
Money was spent.
Well, I think you just named the reason why.
Passion project.
Well, someone gave a script to Robert Wise and he said, I think I can make this. This will be the next Sound of Music or West Side Story. And they're like, okay, here's your money.
It's your West Side Story of the 90s. Yeah.
Just don't make it like Star Trek 1. That was boring. Oh, okay. I'll make it more fun. Yeah. Wow. I can't tell you how many times a character went up to another character and said, what's going on? And then we, the audience, turned and went to her, what is going on? Like, I don't understand. What are they so mad about? Yeah.
Well, it's no Hatchery, that's for sure. Check it out. Rooftops.
Rooftops.
You'll love it. All right. See you next week.
Bye.